Pittsburgh Steelers have a long list of injuries heading into Dallas, and obviously Dallas is without two massive names in Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, but the Steelers are hit with some big names themselves, and we'll start with the big one that we all know, Russell Wilson, questionable. Did you kind of get the Russ is not going to be questionable vibe when Mike Tomlin spoke on Tuesday? I kind of personally did. I thought this is going to be the one where Russ is not questionable and he's the backup, and then you go into Tuesday with the decision to make.
No, I'm not surprised at this. Honestly, Russ has been Mr. Limited, Mr. Questionable all season long, so I'm not surprised that Mike Tomlin is going to be able to push this as long as humanly possible. And there's no need. He has had a injury designation throughout the season. He's had an injury designation, been on the injury report all week. So if you can, why not put questionable on top of there? I mean, I could be questionable because I have some bad sushi on Saturday. So why not put that designation on there and keep things status quo for right now if you're Mike Tomlin? Makes everything easier to handle.
If you are eating bad sushi and then
I don't like sushi, but
before that was the worst answer. You don't like sushi at all? No sushi? Do you do fish?
Not really.
That would explain it.
Crabs and why can't I think of it?
Shrimp.
Yeah,
that makes sense. If you don't like fish, you don't like sushi. That goes hand in hand. I get that one. On the other side of things, and I kind of got the vibe of calf questionable. I don't know, but I agree with you. He's going to draw this out. I still think Tuesday is the deadline, and I think we'll get there on Tuesday, but that depends on if Justin Fields goes out there and stinks. I don't expect him to, but you never know. You never know. Following up with two pretty big ones, if we're going to be honest here. Jaylen Warren, knee, Cordero Patterson, ankle, both of them out. Not surprised, but for it to be official, you start to have to accept that the Pittsburgh Steelers just got slammed with two massive injuries in the backfield and two massive injuries to their defense. What do you expect? What do I expect? I expect this. Jonathan Ward is going to come up. Muppiers, which shout out Muppiers, because me and Nick just realized what that name meant when we were trying to read your comments about how we don't know how to pronounce the name. Jonathan Ward will be called up, I would imagine. I mean, I have a hard time saying they're going to elevate LaMichael Pirine and just say, Jonathan Ward, man, no, sorry, buddy. You've been here all season, but we're going to call up the guy that didn't make the practice squad, now made the practice squad. I would imagine it's Aaron Chaplin, Jonathan Ward, and a whole lot of Najee Harris. Your trust level, I guess, would be the question here in that backfield.
I mean, fortunately for them, we got some good news on the offensive front and some bad news on the defensive front for the Dallas Cowboys. So this might be the perfect week for them to be shorthanded. If you had to pick one, which you wish you never had to, but if you had to pick one, going up against one of the lower half of rushing defenses who is without Micah Parsons and Lawrence, I think that's when you say, okay, it kind of balances out a little bit more than you would have thought coming into the week.
Yeah, I agree. If there's a week for this to happen, it kind of evens out with how Dallas is sitting right here and how bad that defense has been alongside the Pittsburgh Steelers offense kind of struggling in the ground game the past couple of weeks, but still a big hit. I don't have a ton of faith in Aaron Chaplin and Jonathan Ward. However, Najee Harris has carried this backfield before, and I could see him carrying it again in this week. And then we go Cole Pruitt, Alex Highsmith, both done. We saw that one coming. Jeremiah Moon is questionable with an ankle. He is still on IR. But then there's the big one. Larry Ogunjobi is questionable after being limited with a groin the last 2 days. I have no idea what to expect. Being limited 2 days in a row, to me, a little bit signals that he's better than we might fear, because a groin injury is big. To suffer it during practice is bigger, but to be able to return the next day and be limited the next day somewhat gives you the hope that, well, he was able to go and maybe they were just being precautionary with that second day. Because this is Larry O, man. He does not need to practice. We've learned one thing about Larry O, and that he does not need a practice day to suit up on Sundays. There's a crisp in the air. The leaves, they are falling. And my friends, football is on every single weekend. That is what fall is all about. And you can make your weekends even more exciting with our partners, DraftKings. Right now, any new customer who signs up and bets $5 will instantly get $200 in bonus bets by using our promo code All Steelers. All you have to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and sign up using our promo code All Steelers. The crown is yours. That's $200 in bonus bets instantly. Then stay in on the action and use that $200 in bonus bets to bet anytime touchdowns with DraftKings. DraftKings is the place to bet touchdowns. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings daily fantasy football and have a shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use my promo code ALLSteelers and bet just $5 on any wager and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code ALLSteelers only at DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm less worried about it. However, if he doesn't go, I expect a ton of Dean Lowry. I expect a ton of DeMarvin Leal, and you need Jeremiah Moon to be on the field against the Cowboys. Otherwise, you are in some deep doo-doo if you are the Pittsburgh Steelers along that defensive front. Larry O, questionable. We reacted to it yesterday, but I'll get your second thoughts here right now.
Yeah, we mentioned the Dallas Cowboys are shorthanded. This would be a huge loss for the Steelers because, as you mentioned yesterday, not only are you losing Larry O, who's really good in that defensive front, but then you're also splitting time for DeMarvin Leal between inside and outside with Jeremiah Moon, who has been on the shelf for the last month, and you're already kind of shorthanded on the outside as well. So this could be a tough day in the trenches, kind of a questionable day in the trenches. Who actually stands up, who steps up, who gets into the game for the first time this season, potentially a guy like Jeremiah Moon, and is able to make an impact. So there's going to be a lot of questions when it comes to the front and the big boys on Sunday night. And I think that's something where if you're the Steelers, you have to hope that your guys can step up and overtake the Dallas Cowboys, because historically, that's where Dallas thrives.
Yeah. Jacoby Windman, man. Jacoby Windman. Maybe. Name to watch. I don't think he's getting elevated. There's like guys on the practice squad that you would not even think of that have been here longer that make you think, maybe they get the call up. Jacoby Windman would be fun. It would be cool to just have a guy come out there and just be like, okay. Yeah, no, he's a stud. Glad we got him the second time around. I just think he's got that sort of upside. But I agree with you. This is a bad week and one where you're going to need Jeremiah Moon out there. Mm-hmm. On the positive side of things, Isaac Seumalo returns. Massive. I mean, we want to talk the Steelers issues, the Steelers offensive issues. How bad is this offensive line? This is the piece that brings it all back together. That's what Isaac, excuse me. My brain is fried this week. Isaac Seumalo brings to the Pittsburgh Steelers and that offensive line. It's undescribable. What he does is add a veteran leader to a guy next to Zach Frazier, who has been struggling with simple veteran things like snapping the football, knowing when to snap the football, communications, that kind of stuff. That's what Seumalo brings to this, on top of being the most reliable guy you could have at that position. You are now down to 1.5 weak links on the offensive line, which is much more significant or much less significant than 2.5 weak links on that offensive line. I just think it changes everything. You want to talk about a bounce back game for your running game, potentially a bigger game for your quarterback, and to just rebound as a whole. Ask about what pieces you could get back that would be more significant than an offensive lineman, and I'll tell you there are very few. Isaac, coming back, your thoughts?
Yeah, that's massive. I mean, coming into this week, this was the one injury that was realistic to potentially go in the right direction for the Steelers. That was the biggest one, right? We knew Jaylen Warren wasn't coming back. We knew Alex Highsmith wasn't going to be ready for this week, but Isaac Seumalo was huge. And now he might not go out there and have a phenomenal performance because, well, he hasn't faced really many live bullets this entire season. He didn't play much in the preseason, but you mentioned it, having that communication there, having that veteran presence to be right next to Zach Frazier is a huge thing, because no shade to Mason McCormick, no shade to Spencer Anderson. I feel like they've stepped up in large portions of the first 4 games of the season for the Steelers with their performance. But when it comes to Frazier, you're putting a lot on him. We've seen him making calls at the line as a rookie center. That is impressive. So with some of these other things falling to the wayside, Ciamalo should help pick them up and should help kind of solidify the interior of that offensive line. So I'm ecstatic that he is seemingly making that return. And I think it is huge for the Steelers, especially against, like we mentioned, a defensive front that's a little banged up. So maybe he can take advantage in his first performance.
Dude, ecstatic was a word there. That was a good one. You want to talk about all the ways to describe how you're feeling about Pittsburgh football.
I didn't enunciate enough, but I am ecstatic about him coming back.
Ecstatic. Certainly. It doesn't matter. It's a great word to be used on an offensive lineman. If you're going to use a great word for an offensive lineman, ecstatic is definitely one of them. All right, that's the big injury. Go ahead.
I was going to say I said a player to watch was the punter in week 1. So I'm big on the lesser known guys.
Look at dude. This is a football show, okay? And if we've proven anything this season, this is a football show. We have hyped up the fullback, the punters, and the offensive linemen beyond anybody. And we got a quarterback competition that includes one of the most versatile, crazy quarterbacks we've seen in a long time. And we're hyping up right guards with long hair. I mean, this is, as we say, this is a football show. This is a football show.